Your biggest problem is not the problem itself. It is the version of you that keeps meeting the same problem with the same weak mind, the same emotional reaction, and the same old fear. Until that version changes, life will keep sending the same lesson in different forms. What if the problem in your life is not stronger than you? What if the mountain in front of you is not the real mountain? What if the real mountain is the mind that keeps running, the heart that keeps reacting, the body that keeps avoiding, and the old story inside you that keeps whispering, this is too much. You cannot face this. You cannot change this. You cannot become more than this. Before you search for another answer, before you ask another person what you should do, before you make another promise that you will start tomorrow, listen carefully. A problem does not defeat a person in one moment. A problem enters through a small opening. It enters through confusion. It enters through reaction. It enters through weak habits. It enters through a mind that has never been trained to sit still with discomfort. It enters through a heart that has never learned the difference between love and attachment. It enters through a body that has learned comfort but forgotten endurance. And then the person says, life is against me. No, life is not always against you. Sometimes life is simply revealing where your foundation is weak. When the wind comes, the weak roof makes noise. When the storm comes, the shallow root is exposed. When pressure comes, the untrained mind becomes visible. This is not punishment. This is instruction. Most people want their problems removed, but they do not want their character rebuilt. They want peace, but they keep feeding the habits that create noise. They want confidence, but they continue breaking promises to themselves. They want respect, but they keep living in ways that make them ashamed in silence. They want freedom, but they obey every impulse that appears inside them. So today, do not ask only, how can I solve my problems? Ask a deeper question. What kind of person must I become so my problems no longer control me? There are 3 pillars of wisdom that hold a strong life. If you train them, your problems may still come, but they will not find the same weak place inside you. They will knock, but they will not rule. They will challenge you, but they will not define you. They will test you, but they will also shape you. The first pillar is stillness, not the stillness of laziness, not the stillness of running away from responsibility, not the stillness of pretending nothing hurts. True stillness is the power to remain present when everything inside you wants to escape, attack, chase, explain, collapse, or hide. Look at your own life. How many decisions did you make from peace? And how many did you make from panic? How many words did you speak from wisdom? And how many did you speak because anger took your tongue before awareness arrived? How many times did you lose sleep? Not because the problem was happening, but because your mind was rehearsing disasters that had not yet arrived. The untrained mind is like a monkey, jumping from branch to branch. It touches fear, then memory, then desire, then comparison, then regret, then imagination, then shame. It never rests long enough to see clearly. And because it cannot see clearly, it calls every shadow a monster. Stillness is the training of seeing. When you become still, you begin to notice the difference between what is happening and what your mind is adding. You begin to see the difference between pain and the story around pain. You begin to see that one rejection is not the end of your future. One failure is not the death of your value. One person's opinion is not the voice of truth. One difficult season is not your whole life. But without stillness, one moment becomes everything. A message not answered becomes abandonment. A mistake becomes identity. A delay becomes failure. A criticism becomes humiliation. A silence becomes rejection. A memory becomes a prison. The mind creates a fire, then screams that the world is burning. So the first practice is simple, but not easy. Pause. Before you reply, pause. Before you decide, pause. Before you believe the worst thought, pause. Before you return to the same place that wounded you, pause. Before you feed the habit that makes you weaker, pause. In the pause, you take back power. Because between the feeling and the action, there is a small space. In that space, a person either remains a slave or becomes free. Most people do not enter that space. They feel anger and they become anger. They feel fear and they become fear. They feel desire and they become desire. They feel loneliness and they run back to the very thing that taught them loneliness. They do not choose. They are pulled. Stillness gives you the ability to see the pull without obeying it. This is the beginning of mastery. A calm person is not a person without storms. A calm person is someone who has stopped handing the steering wheel to every storm. You can feel emotion and still remain awake. You can feel pressure and still breathe. You can feel hurt and still choose dignity. You can feel fear and still act with wisdom. Do not confuse calmness with weakness. It takes more strength to hold your tongue than to speak from anger. It takes more strength to walk away than to win a useless argument. It takes more strength to sit with discomfort than to escape into distraction. It takes more strength to let the truth appear than to keep decorating a lie. Stillness is not passive. Stillness is the warrior standing at the gate of the mind, allowing only what serves truth to enter. But stillness must be trained daily. You cannot live in noise for 23 hours and expect peace in the 24th. You cannot keep filling your mind with comparison, drama, gossip, and fear, and then wonder why your spirit is tired. You cannot give your attention to everything and still expect to have strength for what matters. Your attention is your life. Where your attention goes, your energy follows. Where your energy goes, your habits grow. Where your habits grow, your character forms. Where your character forms, your destiny begins to take shape. So guard your attention. Sit for a few minutes without reaching for anything. Let the body become quiet. Let the breath come and go. Watch the mind. Do not fight it. Do not follow it. Just watch. At first, you will see chaos. This is not failure. This is honesty. You are not creating chaos by sitting still. You are finally seeing the chaos that has been controlling you. Stay if sadness comes. Stay if boredom comes. Stay. If fear comes, stay. If memories come, stay. The practice is not to feel peaceful immediately. The practice is to stop running from what is inside you. A person who cannot sit with himself will always depend on the world to distract him from himself. And the world is happy to do this. It will sell you noise. It will sell you speed. It will sell you comparison. It will sell you a new desire every morning and a new insecurity every night. But wisdom begins when you say, no, I will not abandon myself. Stillness brings you back to the breath, back to the body, back to the present step, back to what is real. And when you are present, your problems begin to change size. Some remain serious, yes. Some still require action. Some still require courage. But many lose their false power because you stop feeding them with imagination. A problem in reality may be one stone. A problem in the untrained mind becomes a mountain range. Stillness removes the extra mountain. The second pillar is discipline. Many people hear this word and feel resistance. They think discipline means punishment. They think discipline means harshness. They think discipline means living without joy. No, discipline is love made reliable. Discipline is the way you prove to yourself that your future matters. Discipline is the bridge between what you understand and what you embody. Without discipline, wisdom remains entertainment. You listen, you feel inspired, you nod your head, maybe even say, this is true. But then tomorrow comes, the same habit appears, the same weakness whispers, the same comfort calls, and you follow it again. Then wisdom did not become your life. It only visited your mind. Discipline is how wisdom becomes bone. Every person is shaped by repetition, not by what they wish, not by what they announce, not by what they imagine. Repetition is the sculptor. If you repeat excuses, you become skilled in excuses. If you repeat avoidance, you become skilled in avoidance. If you repeat distraction, you become skilled in distraction. If you repeat courage, you become skilled in courage. If you repeat truth, you become skilled in truth. If you repeat effort, you become skilled in effort. The question is not whether you are training. You are always training. The question is, what are you training? Every time you break a promise to yourself, something inside you listens. It learns, my words cannot be trusted. Then later you wonder why confidence is weak. Confidence is not created by shouting affirmations while living in contradiction. Confidence grows when your actions and your words begin to meet. You say, I will wake early, and you wake early. You say, I will finish this task, and you finish it. You say, I will stop returning to what damages me, and you stop. You say, I will take care of my body, and you move, eat, rest, and recover with respect. You say, I will not speak from anger, and when anger rises, you pause. This is how self-trust returns, slowly, quickly, powerfully. Discipline is not one dramatic act. It is 1,000 small acts done when no one is watching. The world loves intensity. It loves the loud beginning, the emotional promise, the big announcement, the new identity. But life is not transformed by intensity alone. Life is transformed by consistency. A small practice repeated every day becomes a force. Water does not cut stone because it is hard. It cuts stone because it continues. The disciplined person understands that the ordinary moment is sacred. How you make your bed matters. How you speak when tired matters. How you work when bored matters. How you eat when stressed matters. How you treat people who cannot give you anything matters. How you behave when no one can praise you matters. These small moments are not small. They are the hidden construction of your character. Most people want the result, but disrespect the process. They want the fruit, but neglect the root. They want the mountain view, but avoid the climb. They want the calm face of mastery, but refuse the boring repetition that creates mastery. But there is no mastery without repetition. A blade is sharpened by returning to the stone. The body is strengthened by returning to resistance. The mind is trained by returning to attention. The spirit is purified by returning to truth. Again and again and again. Do not despise the word. Again. Again is the path. Again after failure. Again after distraction. Again after shame. Again after delay. Again after the old pattern almost pulled you back. The person who becomes strong is not the one who never falls. It is the one who refuses to make falling his home. Discipline also teaches you to choose your pain. This is important. Many people live as if the goal is to avoid pain. But there is no life without pain. There is the pain that builds you, and there is the pain that breaks you down slowly. There is the pain of exercise, and there is the pain of a body neglected. There is the pain of honest conversation, and there is the pain of resentment stored for years. There is the pain of leaving a destructive relationship, and there is the pain of losing yourself by staying. There is the pain of focused work, and there is the pain of watching your potential disappear. There is the pain of discipline, and there is the pain of regret. Choose your pain wisely. The pain of discipline has dignity inside it. It asks something from you, but it gives something back. Strength, clarity, self-respect, capacity. The pain of avoidance takes from you and gives nothing back. It steals energy, time, confidence, and peace. It keeps you comfortable today and makes you weaker tomorrow. Every time you choose comfort over truth, the problem grows roots. Every time you choose discipline over impulse, the problem loses power. This does not mean you must become harsh with yourself. A tree does not grow faster because you shout at it. A student does not learn deeply through shame alone. Discipline without compassion becomes cruelty. Compassion without discipline becomes weakness. You need both a soft heart and a firm path. You can say to yourself, I understand you are tired, and still stand up. You can say, I understand you are afraid, and still take the step. You can is right understanding. Stillness gives you space. Discipline gives you strength. But right understanding gives you direction. Without right understanding, even discipline can become a prison. You can become disciplined in chasing the wrong things. Disciplined in pleasing people who do not respect you. Disciplined in collecting success that does not nourish your soul. Disciplined in proving yourself to those who are not even watching. Disciplined in becoming impressive while becoming empty. So wisdom asks, what are you serving? This question is not small. Many people do not live, they perform. They perform strength while feeling broken. They perform happiness while carrying sadness. They perform success while fearing silence. They perform confidence while depending on approval. They perform a life that looks good from far away, but feels heavy from within. Right understanding removes the mask. It asks, what is true? Not what is popular, not what is comfortable, not what protects the ego. What is true? Is this relationship love or attachment? Is this ambition purpose or fear of being unseen? Is this anger justice or wounded pride? Is this loyalty or fear of being alone? Is this patience or avoidance? Is this humility or low self-worth? Is this sacrifice or self-betrayal? A person can only change what he is willing to see. If you refuse to see clearly, you will keep calling the prison a home. Right understanding begins with honest seeing. You see that some problems are not problems. They are consequences. You see that some people are not confusing. They are consistent. And you simply do not like what their consistency reveals. You see that some doors are not closed against you. They are closed for you because entering them would cost your peace. You see that some delays are not denials. They are training grounds. You see that some failures are not endings. They are corrections. You see that some pain is not a sign to quit. It is a sign to become more conscious. Right understanding changes the meaning of life's events. And meaning changes suffering. Two people can experience the same difficulty. One becomes bitter. One becomes wiser. The event is similar. The understanding is different. This is why you must be careful with the meaning you give to your pain. If someone leaves and you decide, I am not worthy, you have allowed an event to become a false identity. If you fail and decide, I am a failure, you have confused one result with your whole being. If someone criticizes you and you decide, I must defend myself against everything, you have made the ego your teacher. But if someone leaves and you say, this is painful, but my value does not leave with them, you remain rooted. If you fail and say, this is information for training, you remain on the path. If someone criticizes you and you ask, is there truth here I can use? You become free even from insult. Right understanding transforms poison into medicine, not immediately, not magically, but through reflection. Sit with your pain and ask, what is this teaching me? Sit with your anger and ask, what boundary or wound is speaking? Sit with your jealousy and ask, what desire have I not honored in myself? Sit with your fear and ask, what future am I trying to control? Sit with your sadness and ask, what have I loved, lost, or ignored? This is how the inner world becomes a teacher, but most people do not ask. They react, they blame, they distract themselves. They bury the lesson and keep the wound. Right understanding also teaches impermanence. Everything changes. The body changes. The face changes. The season changes. The people around you change. Your desires change. Your roles change. Your strength changes. Your pain changes. The thing you are afraid of may change. The thing you are clinging to will change. The river of life does not stop because the mind wants certainty. Much suffering comes from demanding permanence, from what was never permanent. You want a feeling to last forever. You want a person to remain the same forever. You want success to protect you forever. You want youth to stay. You want praise to continue. You want control. But life moves. The breath enters and leaves. Day becomes night, flowers open and fall. People arrive and depart. Plans form and dissolve. This is not tragedy. This is the nature of life. When you fight impermanence, you suffer twice. Once because things change, and again because you believed they should not. Right understanding does not make you cold. It makes you tender without being foolish. It allows you to love deeply without possession. Work fully without worshipping outcomes. Care sincerely without losing yourself. Build patiently while knowing that all forms are temporary. This understanding gives peace, not the peace of having everything, the peace of not needing everything to obey you. A person who understands impermanence becomes grateful. He does not postpone appreciation. He does not assume people will always be there. He does not waste the morning. He does not treat the body like it is indestructible. He does not spend life in petty resentment as if time is endless. He wakes up. He sees the cup of tea. He feels the breath. He listens more carefully. He speaks more honestly. He forgives more intelligently. He stops waiting for a perfect future to respect the present moment. Right understanding also shows you the difference between control and responsibility. You cannot control everything. You cannot control who likes you. You cannot control who misunderstands you. You cannot control the timing of every result. You cannot control the past. You cannot control the weather of another person's mind. But you are responsible for your response. You are responsible for your practice. You are responsible for your words. You are responsible for the energy you bring into a room. You are responsible for the habits you repeat. You are responsible for the boundaries you do or do not set. You are responsible for whether pain makes you more conscious or more cruel. The untrained person suffers because he tries to control what is not his and neglects what is. He tries to control other people but cannot control his tongue. He tries to control outcomes but cannot control his attention. He tries to control how he is seen but cannot control how he lives. He tries to control love but cannot control attachment. This is upside down. Turn it around. Release what is not yours. Train what is yours. This is freedom. Now see how the three pillars work together. A problem appears. Maybe someone disrespects you. Stillness says, pause. Do not become the insult. Discipline says, respond according to your values, not your wound. Right understanding says, their behavior is information. My reaction is my responsibility. Now the problem becomes practice. Maybe you lose an opportunity. Stillness says, breathe. Panic will not open the door. Discipline says, review, learn, continue. Right understanding says, a closed door may be correction, redirection, or preparation. Now the loss becomes training. Maybe you feel lonely. Stillness says, sit with the feeling. Do not run immediately. Discipline says, do not contact what damages you just because silence is uncomfortable. Right understanding says, loneliness is not proof that you are unloved. It may be an invitation to return to yourself. Now, loneliness becomes a teacher. Maybe you fail again. Stillness says, do not turn this moment into your identity. Discipline says, stand up, adjust the method, practice again. Right understanding says, failure repeated with awareness becomes mastery. Now failure becomes material. This is why wisdom does not always remove difficulty. It transforms your relationship with difficulty. You stop asking life to become easy before you become strong. You stop waiting for perfect conditions before you begin. You stop giving your peace to people who cannot even manage their own. You stop making your future depend on your mood. You stop treating every emotion like a command. You stop seeing yourself as a victim of every circumstance. And slowly, quietly, you become dangerous to your old life. Not dangerous to people. Dangerous to the excuses that kept you small. Dangerous to the patterns that made suffering familiar. Dangerous to the voice that told you comfort was safer than truth. Dangerous to the sleep inside you.